In a matter of seconds, a quiet drive became a nightmare. Police lights flared behind, followed by a chain of events no one deserves to face. Before we dive in, let us know, have you ever seen someone treated unfairly like this? Share your thoughts, subscribe, and spread this video because justice should never be a privilege. The grip on the steering wheel was tight, knuckles white, nails pressing into the leather. Erica Vaughn forced a slow, steady breath, keeping her eyes locked on the road ahead. She wasn't speeding. She hadn't run a light. Yet, in her mirror, the unmistakable glow of red and blue flickered behind her. Her heartbeat quickened. This wasn't the first time she'd been pulled over, but something felt different. The police cruiser stayed on her tail too long, waiting, almost hunting. A slow, deliberate game of intimidation. The kind she'd read about. The kind she'd defended clients against. Erica pulled onto the shoulder, reaching instinctively for her purse. Her Idaho and registration were in order. She placed her hands on the wheel before the officer even stepped out. Footsteps approached, heavy and firm against the asphalt. Erica rolled her window down just enough. License and registration, the officer barked. No greeting. No explanation. She kept her voice even. Of course, officer. May I ask why I'm being pulled over? The officer, a white man in his mid-40s, ignored the question. His sunglasses reflected the glow of the streetlights as he tapped a finger impatiently on the roof of her car. Erica moved carefully, reaching into the glove compartment and handing over the documents. He barely looked at them. Step out of the vehicle. Erica blinked. Excuse me. Step out of the vehicle. Her fingers twitched on the steering wheel. She had handled police cases before, worked within the justice system long enough to know her rights. Officer, I haven't been informed of any violation. Am I being detained? A second officer appeared at the passenger side, younger, nervous, hand near his holster. The first officer exhaled sharply. We're investigating a reported car theft in this area. Your vehicle matches the description. Erica kept her expression calm, but anger coiled inside her. This is my car, she said firmly. Registered under my name. You have my identification. Step out of the car, ma'am. She inhaled deeply. If she refused, it could escalate. If she complied, it still could. She unbuckled her seatbelt, opened the door, and stood. The moment her feet hit the ground, the younger officer moved. Rough hands grabbed her wrist and twisted it behind her back. Hey. Erica gasped as cold steel tightened around one wrist, then the other. This is unnecessary, she protested, twisting to look at them. Ma'am, you're being detained until we sort this out, the first officer said, pressing down on her shoulder. Detained for what? Erica snapped. You have no probable cause. You're driving a stolen vehicle, the officer cut in. Her head jerked up. That's a but. Her voice was drowned out by the sound of her heartbeat. She felt the stares from passing cars. The humiliation. The fury. This is my car, she repeated through clenched teeth. Run the plates. Check my registration. This is wrongful detainment. The officers exchanged glances. We'll handle that at the station, the older one muttered. Erica's breath hitched. They weren't listening. They didn't care. And that's when she realized this wasn't about the car. It was about power. Her jaw tightened as she locked eyes with the officer. Call my brother. The officer snickered. Oh yeah? The younger one smirked. And who's your brother? Erica tilted her chin up. Marcus Vaughn. United States Attorney. Silence. The first officer stiffened, his grip loosening slightly. The younger officer's smirk faltered, his fingers twitching near his belt. Erica saw it then, the crack, the hesitation. They weren't expecting that. Her heartbeat slowed, replaced by something colder, sharper. They had made a mistake. And they were about to find out just how big of one. Erica could feel the weight of the handcuffs digging into her wrists as the officers exchanged uncertain glances. The once confident smirks had wavered, though they tried to mask it. The name Marcus Vaughn carried a weight they weren't prepared for. She wasn't just some black woman they could push around. Yeah, right, the younger officer scoffed, though his voice lacked the same arrogance from before. And I'm the president's nephew. Erica remained perfectly still, her breathing controlled, her heartbeat steady. They could mock her all they wanted, she knew exactly what was about to happen. Call him, she said, her voice unwavering. Right now, or I will. The older officer took a step forward, pulling out her phone from the pocket of her blazer. You said his name is Marcus Vaughn. U.S. Attorney. Attorney Vaughn, she corrected, her eyes locked on his. You might want to check the Doe website while you're at it. The officer hesitated, his thumb hovering over the screen, debating whether to humor her. He glanced at his partner, then back at her, before sighing. What's his number? Erica held his gaze. Speed dial 2, he'll answer. The younger officer folded his arms, shifting his weight uncomfortably. The bravado from earlier had drained from his stance. He knew something was wrong. The older officer tapped the phone screen and brought it to his ear. For a moment, the only sound was the distant hum of traffic. Then the ringing stopped. This is Marcus Vongers. Erica watched as the officer stiffened. She didn't have to see his expression to know that reality was setting in. This is Officer Haskins with the, he cleared his throat, trying to regain control. 9th Precinct. We have a woman here who claims to be your sister. Silence. Then Marcus S. voice sharp and commanding. You mean Erica? What the hell is going on? The younger officer shifted uneasily. The older one swallowed, clearly regretting the call. We pulled her over. Routine stop. There was a report of a stolen vehicle matching. Is this a joke? Marcus cut in, his voice hard. You're saying my sister, a licensed attorney with the state, is in a stolen vehicle? Are you out of your damn mind? Erica saw it then, the moment Officer Haskins realized just how badly they had messed up. His eyes darted to her, then to his partner. Sir, we were just following protocol. No, Marcus snapped. You were following bias. You saw a black woman in a nice car and you pulled her over. Am I wrong? Haskins didn't answer. That's what I thought, Marcus continued. Listen to me very carefully. You're going to take those handcuffs off right now. You are going to return everything you took from her. And then you are going to apologize. Haskins swallowed hard. Sir, You have exactly 30 seconds before I call the chief of police, the mayor, and the goddamn Doge. And trust me, by the time I'm done, neither of you will be wearing that badge again. Erica's lips curled into a small, satisfied smile as the officer's face turned pale. Haskins yanked the phone from his ear, hands trembling slightly as he fumbled for the key. The handcuffs clicked loudly. Once her wrists were free, Erica rolled them gently, the ache sharp but manageable. You good? Marcus S. voice was still on speaker. She rubbed her wrists before answering. I'm good. They still standing there? Erica glanced at both officers. Yeah, they are. Good, Marcus said. Because I want to hear them say it. A tense silence stretched between them. The younger officer looked to his partner, jaw clenched. Erica waited. Haskins inhaled sharply and muttered, I. Louder, Marcus demanded. I apologize, Haskins repeated, his voice tight. For what? Erica crossed her arms. For the wrongful detainment, he replied through gritted teeth. She tilted her head, satisfied. That wasn't so hard, was it? Haskins stiffened. The younger officer was already inching toward their cruiser, desperate to escape. Marcus sighed. Erica, get in your car and go, I'll handle this. Without a word, she took her phone back from Haskins, brushing her fingers against his as she did. His discomfort was obvious. She turned without looking back, slid into the driver's seat, and shut the door with a firm thud. The officers scrambled back to their patrol car, avoiding eye contact, and drove off fast, tires screeching. Erica let out a slow breath. It was over for now, but as she merged onto the road, she knew this wouldn't be the last time she had to remind someone exactly who she was. And next time, she wouldn't need to call her brother. Her hands trembled slightly on the wheel, not from fear but anger. A cold, simmering fury settled deep in her bones and refused to fade, even as the city lights blurred past. She should be home by now, wine in hand, heels off, unwinding after a long day. Instead, her mind replayed every moment, the cuffs, the humiliation, the looks that reduced her to less than human. Her phone buzzed on the center console. Marcus. She exhaled through her nose and pressed the Bluetooth button. I'm fine. A beat of silence. I didn't ask. You didn't have to. Marcus sighed. I just got off the phone with the precinct. They're scrambling. Good, she said. His tone softened. Talk to me. She clenched her jaw. What was there to say? That she was tired. That no matter her degrees, her wins, how carefully she played by the rules, they still saw her as a threat. I handled it, she said flatly. You shouldn't have had to. That she couldn't argue with. You're not letting this go, are you? She let out a sharp laugh. Oh, I'm just getting started. He chuckled, but there was no humor in it. That's what I thought. Her car slowed as she pulled into her apartment complex. The familiar sight of the gated entrance gave her a sliver of comfort. "I'll call you tomorrow, Erica." She hesitated. "Don't carry this alone." She swallowed, gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Good night, Dee." She ended the call before he could respond. By the time she stepped into her apartment, exhaustion had caught up with her. The kind that wasn't physical, it sat heavier. She kicked off her heels, tossed her blazer onto the couch, and made a beeline for the kitchen. Wine. She needed wine. Just as she reached for the bottle, a sharp knock at the door froze her in place. Her pulse quickened. It was too late for visitors. She set the bottle down and walked toward the door, peering through the peephole. A man stood outside, mid-30s, clean-cut, wearing a suit. Not a cop, not someone she recognized. "Parker," she stated firmly, "and I will not stop there. This is bigger than me. This is about every single person who has been pulled over, questioned, detained, or worse, simply because of the color of their skin." Marcus nodded slightly, a silent approval of every word she was saying. Erica looked directly into the cameras. "There will be an independent investigation into their actions, and I will ensure it does not get buried. I have also filed a civil rights violation case because enough is enough. The system that allows this kind of abuse to continue must be held accountable." There was a ripple in the crowd, murmurs of support, the sound of people shifting, nodding, agreeing. A reporter raised a hand. "Ms. Vaughn, are you seeking their termination?" Erica didn't hesitate. "I am seeking justice." Another voice cut through. "Do you believe your connection to the U.S. Attorney's Office helped your case?" Erica's lips pressed into a thin line. "Yes, and that's the problem. No one should need to have a powerful relative to demand fair treatment from law enforcement. That is why I will not stop fighting until everyone, regardless of their last name, job title, or bank account, is treated with the same dignity and respect." A round of applause broke out, small but growing. She stepped back from the podium, the moment sinking in. Marcus squeezed her shoulder. "You handled that like a pro," he said. She exhaled, nodding. "It's not over yet." "It's a start," he admitted. Jensen approached, sliding a folder into her hands. "Internal Affairs just released their statement. The officers are being put on administrative leave pending the investigation." "It's something." Erica scanned the document, a sharp exhale leaving her lips. It wasn't enough. Not yet. But it was something. She turned back to Marcus. "You still got those press contacts?" He smirked. "You planning on making some noise?" More than noise, she met his gaze. "I'm going to make sure no one ever forgets my name." Marcus chuckled, proud. "Now that's my little sister." They walked down the courthouse steps together, the weight on her chest feeling lighter. There was still work to do, but for the first time in a long time, she felt something close to victory. And that was only the beginning. Weeks turned into months, but the impact of that one night never faded. The footage of her arrest, shared millions of times online, had ignited something far beyond a trending hashtag. It had become evidence. Fuel. A spark in a long-suffering engine of justice reform. Across the country, city after city replayed her dashcam footage in police academies, courtrooms, and classrooms. In town halls, her name was mentioned alongside new bills on police accountability. Civil rights organizations cited her case in lawsuits and policy proposals. In coffee shops and community centers, people shared their own stories they had buried for years. And for the first time, they were believed. She didn't stop. She testified before state legislators, demanding transparent disciplinary records for officers. She worked with community boards to establish civilian oversight panels with real authority. Her inbox overflowed with messages from parents, teachers, and students, people who told her, "You gave us language for something we've been feeling our whole lives." Erica became a voice. Not because she asked for it, but because silence was never an option again. Meanwhile, the officers involved in her case became symbols of a broken system. Investigations unearthed a history of misconduct and buried complaints. Disciplinary action was swift this time. Public, unforgiving. But for Erica, it was never about just them, it was about the culture that had enabled them. One evening, she stood outside a new community justice center built with funds from a settlement tied to her case. On the walls inside were murals by local artists, faces of black women and men who had been wronged, and those who had stood back up. In the garden, children played freely. Police officers in plain clothes chatted with volunteers, learning, unlearning. She smiled. It wasn't perfect. Racism hadn't vanished. The work was nowhere near finished, but something had changed. The silence had cracked. In an interview months later, when asked how that night changed her, she paused, then said, "I used to think justice was something you had to win. Now I understand justice is something you build piece by piece until no one ever has to fight like I did again." Several months had passed, but the echoes of that night still lived in headlines and policy rooms, and in quiet conversations around dinner tables. Erica's story had become a national flashpoint used in legal seminars, academy briefings, and justice reform panels across the country. But beyond the spotlight, the real impact unfolded slowly, subtly, like seeds taking root in new soil. The precinct where the incident occurred now had a new name. The former chief had resigned. New leadership had been appointed, and one of the first visible changes was a mural on the side of the building, a woman with her hands cuffed, standing tall. Below it, a quote in bold white letters, "Justice begins with courage." Erica didn't visit often, but when she did, she walked those familiar streets with purpose. Children played on sidewalks where, months ago, she had been humiliated. Community forums were now held in the same municipal hall that once overlooked citizen complaints. Posters in 3 languages reminded residents of their rights during police interactions. A helpline created as a direct result of her testimony was receiving calls daily, offering legal assistance to those without powerful last names. She often received letters, some from young women who now felt seen, others from officers who said her story had made them rethink everything about their role. One letter, written in unsteady cursive, was from a retired Black veteran who wrote, "Thank you. You gave me back a part of myself I thought this country had forgotten." Yet, the journey was far from over. There were still protests, still hearings, still systems resistant to change. But for Erica, every step forward, however small, mattered. She had become more than a victim, more than a headline. She had become a symbol of resilience, of defiance, of unshakable dignity. One quiet morning, she returned to the spot where her car had once been surrounded, where flashing lights and raised voices turned an ordinary day into a national reckoning. A small metal plaque had been placed discreetly by the community without ceremony. It simply read, "Here stood a woman who said, 'Enough.'" She knelt down, brushing her fingers over the words. The pain hadn't vanished, but it had transformed into fuel, into clarity, into fire. And as she stood again, watching a new day unfold, she whispered, not in anger but in conviction, "We keep going." And she did. From this story, we learn that justice is not something that happens on its own. It is the result of courage, of relentless voices, and of people who choose to stand up even when the odds are stacked against them. Discrimination can start with a glance, a word, or a subtle gesture, but its consequences are profound. It erodes trust, steals dignity, and fractures communities. The greatest message is this: no one should be mistreated simply for who they are. What we can do today is reflect on how we see others, how we respond to injustice, and how we can be part of the change. In the next 5 years, we can teach our children to embrace diversity, push for fairer legal systems, and most importantly, refuse to be silent. Will racism end by 2045? Maybe not. But if we start today, if we keep going tomorrow, then someday justice won't be a luxury, it will be a given for everyone. Note: this story is entirely fictional and created for the purpose of raising awareness. It highlights issues of responsibility, justice, and the importance of treating everyone with respect and dignity. We firmly oppose violence, prejudice, and injustice in all forms. Viewer discretion is advised.